I love how Mission Vista Academy is tailored to my individual academic needs. Thanks to its flexibility, I've received high-end education through personalized curriculums that fit my learning style.
What I love most about MVA is the teachers. The teachers can help you with so many things. Like, they can bring ideas from the other families in case your family is having a hard time learning something.
As a senior, I've benefited from MVA's customizable schedule, which has given me the time to shadow and explore careers that interest me, as well as take dual enrollment classes at a college and get ahead. I'm also a very social person, and MVA provides many different ways to meet new people, such as the Catalina trip. I formed a core group of girls that have supported me through my senior year and hopefully throughout my future.
I really like how MVA fits my needs when it comes to my hobbies. It provides a variety of ways of learning.
The thing I love about MVA is the flexibility and versatility. As an MVA student, I have the ability to plan my own schedule, choose the path that I want to based on my own interests.
What I like about MVA is the ability to have more flexibility and also being able to do my passions and dreams.
Something my teacher does to help me feel supported is she always checks up on us, and she's actually interested in what we're doing in our own lives.
It's always fun to talk with my math tutor, and it's just always the best time.
What does your teacher do to help you feel supported?
My teacher answers all my questions very fast, very easily, and it helps me understand about the course outline, any other thing I need help on, the curriculum. She's always on it and making me feel so much more confident.
I love art. I love science. I like math.
I love several things about MVA. I feel so fortunate to be a part of my child's learning journey.
I love the resources that MVA provides.
And one of the most important privileges is being able to handpick a curriculum that matches my child's learning style.
What I love about MVA is the endless support which you have access to. One phone call away or one text away from the HST who basically answers all your questions.
Having the support of our homeschool teacher, it feels like family. We have everything we need, a numerous amount of resources available, and it just feels like we are supported throughout the entire process.
I also enjoy the responsiveness of the school to any kind of concerns that we have.
One of the things I love most about Mission Vista Academy is the people. We have amazing families, incredible students, and such a supportive team of teachers and administrators. As a teacher, it's so rewarding to work in a school where we truly partner with families and do everything we can to help students succeed.
MVA's population and network extends beyond the average single school population, with hundreds of teachers across the county and thousands of students and their families connected to each other. Our network of resources are above what is normally available in a single public school setting.
Every student's educational journey looks a little different, and I love that we are able to support and celebrate those individual paths. The sense of community, care, and collaboration at MVA is what makes it such a special place to be.
Families have the flexibility to create meaningful learning experiences that connect directly to their child's world.
It is incredibly rewarding to partner directly with parents to develop students' unique gifts. I get to see kids transform into critical thinkers and innovative leaders right in our community.
Each student I have on my roster, I try to find something that they love and we can dive deeper in.
When learning is driven by curiosity and real-life experiences, students often develop a deeper understanding and a genuine love for learning.
I love that my role allows me to truly individualize education. Instead of a one-size-fits-all classroom, I get to help families blend online coursework, offline textbooks, and hands-on learning.
The different teaching and learning styles used to achieve academic success across Mission Vista Academy are limitless.
Wow. And I just love that we could hear those words and so many happy families. And though it just speaks to the work that you do, it matters and it's making a difference. Thank you to Sarah and all of the teachers that participated in that. But I think it's all of us really, we're a part of that and made that. We have thousands of students that are learning and are so happy in the way that they're learning because of the work that we do here. And we built a community around that. So cheers to us. Now, I just want to take a moment and welcome and introduce our new staff. So we've got a bunch of new HSTs, and we have a few new people that have stepped up into leadership roles. Would you please stand so we can welcome you? And I think you'll see that we are a supportive community, and you've got lots, hopefully you've found your people. Your team principal and the directors and your colleagues are all here to support you, and I hope you feel welcome. All right. So everybody got a bag, and in it was filled with some
You also have a packet that we are very excited about, and I want to give a big shout out to Brianne Samples. Where is she? I don't know where.
No. What's new to this year? All right. So I wanted to just give you, a highlight of some big things that are happening this year. Thankfully, no huge changes, no big astonishing laws that have changed our world. We're just sailing forward. It's good. So I thought I would give you an enrollment update where we are. So last year, we ended with 7,747 students. That was a big year, and it gets better. As of now, we have intent to returns that show retaining 86% of that population, so that's great. And we have 906 signed master agreements for new students, and 708 TK coming on. Wow. So we plan to launch the school year with 8,600 students. So we are still growing and thriving. We've added, as you saw, some new staff to help with that, but we know everyone is very full. So we talked last time about how that was helpful to, protect jobs and make sure that everybody stays full. We know you are over full. Thank you for doing that. And we do expect that things will settle down. Like we talked about, our historic trends are that we experience about 10% of withdrawals in July, August, September. So things are coming to settle down. So, but we really do appreciate that everybody, when we asked if you could take a few extra students, you did. And that's super helpful to our financial stability and everybody's jobs. So we appreciate that, and we know it takes a lot of work. So thank you. With that said, in the meantime, we have tried to look at your jobs about, when you take these extra students, then you have like no time for anything else. So we're trying to simplify any tasks that are, a time suck. So we know we've updated the AWRs. We talked about that, but just a reminder, you get to use those soon. Those simplified ones with fewer clicks, the broader standards, and Zena will be talking about that. And everything that we can, we're putting into EduClimber and really using it like full-fledged launch, and it will make our lives better. Once we learn it, it will streamline a lot of things, less redundancy, repeating, the data, it's all in there, and it'll populate into your IDF. It will be really great. So another thing that we did was hired dedicated Ignite teachers. So that will hopefully save you time. Yes, exciting. And then that easier IDF form that's simplified. Hopefully those things will create some more time for you to serve students. So that's exciting. And then I just wanted to give you an update on the implementation of AB 126. So last year, we talked a lot about AB 84, and with your advocacy and the advocacy of the charter community at large, it was stopped. So that is something to celebrate. We really came together and we're voicing our concerns and our priorities, and it worked. So that is great that we're able to come together and that we learned these, legislative channels and access, and we'll use that in the future. What ended up happening with AB 84 stopping in the legislative process is that every year the governor puts together a budget, and then it's called the trailer bill. They're little like add-ons of things that they want done. So some of the language from AB 84 was rolled into that budget trailer bill, and that was signed into law in July. And I would say, yes, there are some more accountability restrictions for charter schools, but nothing really that disrupts our business, our operations. So that is good. Some of the things like added vendor, like insurance, mandated reporter, things like that, those are best practices that we've already been doing. So not really a concern. And then there was language about season passes. So, we do like the museum pass or the Living Desert season pass, things like that. In 27-28, we will no longer do season passes, but we will do the single admissions, because that's the best practice for managing this restrictive environment. So just a heads up this year, last year with the season passes. And then we have work samples, and Sina's going to talk about this later, really, but there's some additional work sample collections that we will do in LP 3, 5, and 7 with all four core subjects at those intervals to make this mesh. So we'll talk about that in greater detail, but just wanted to give you those highlights. So I'm not worried about the bill, stuff we can manage, but some extra stuff we need to keep an eye on. And then finally, it's our charter renewal year. So we are actually really excited about that. We have great data, and that's thanks to your testing of every single kid and knowing where they are and pushing them to even one more point of achievement has made a difference. So it looks great. We're in the middle performing tier because there's other things that go into that besides, CASP data. But we're utilizing all of that, and we're submitting our renewal petition this fall. It's a several month-long process with reviews, public hearing, and vote from Beaumont before we get to that point, but we're expecting that 5-year renewal. So we'll be ready to go, and we expire on June 30th. So 5 more years after that is a great thing. And so we'll keep you updated on each benchmark that happens along the way, but that's really exciting. We're growing and we're doing great work. So those are the announcements. The professional housekeeping kind of announcements, just we ask, we're all together not super often, and so we just want your attention and engagement. So try to, I know some things get said and we want to talk to our neighbor about it, but just like in the classroom, we want your attention, and keeping those laptops closed. You can do your vector trainings when you get home. And we put a lot of thought into the schedule, so we want to be on time. It's probably me that's putting us off schedule with my long-windedness, but try to come in and out when we say, we have 10 minutes for the bathroom. Try to be mindful of that. And then speaking of the bathroom, since we're like 98% female, we're going to open up the men's restrooms to women, so we can use both those big ones with the multi-stalls back there. So women in both of the women and men, and then men, if you wouldn't mind using the single occupancy. So you can wait in line too. So that's it. And then I think the next thing is our speaker. And I have the pleasure of introducing our speaker today. And our speaker, Kevin Davis, our leadership team has been working with Kevin and his team for about 3 years now. And he's been an excellent support to our leadership team and a coach for us, and has really come to understand our school and what we're doing, our mission. And he's helped us articulate our vision and helped us with being able to coach each other and grow as leaders. So now I announce Kevin's bio. He's a passionate and engaging speaker with a diverse background in consulting, nonprofit leadership, and global training. With his wealth of experience and authentic approach, Kevin guides individuals and teams to rediscover their core values, navigate challenges, and unlock their full potential. Kevin's expertise lies in engaging, coaching, and inspiring individuals and teams to reach their full potential by fostering meaningful conversations, providing guidance, and offering fresh perspectives. His authentic and caring approach, coupled with effective communication skills, makes him a valuable asset for personal and professional growth. Welcome, Kevin.
Hang with, there we go, you're welcome. I could have used that announcement about the bathroom change about 30 minutes ago, because that was a fun way to meet one of you ladies. I was very proud that I was washing my hands too, so anyway. The ratio of men to women is insane, you guys. But hey, my name is Kevin, and I was born and raised in the great state of Colorado, and then I've been in the state of Michigan for over 21 years now. And we, just as you know, like Midwestern people, you probably think of Michigan as this like frozen tundra, this terribly cold place, and we prefer that. We want to keep it the way it is. We have freshwater oceans. I mean, that's the perspective. That's how big they are. It's awesome. It's a great place to live. And as Erica said, we've gotten to work with you guys, your leadership team, and so really in support of all of you indirectly for a couple of years. I have, I think, one of the best jobs that I get to work with people every day. I sit on Zoom calls coaching leaders. I get to come and facilitate workshops and things with different leaders to help people get clear about where they want to grow And I've gotten to work with leaders all over the world and all across different industries. And the fascinating thing when you work across multiple industries and disciplines and expertise is you realize people are people. And it doesn't matter where you go or where you are, this thing that we do, in your case, education, it's all about people. It's about people working together with other people in the service of more people. And that's true across every industry. And I am convinced that if you and I just go to work on being a better person, a better version of ourselves, committed to our own growth, we will, by extension, be a better leader, a better influence in the lives of the others that we work with and that we serve, no matter what our role or our job is. So your Fuel the Vision theme, to empower lifelong learners. The question I wanted to ask you as we start is, can you empower lifelong learning in students if you are not a lifelong learner yourself? Can you give what you don't have? And if you're like me, if I heard someone ask that question, I'd be like, well, I'm a lifelong learner. I love to read. I love to learn stuff. But if you're like me, in fact, if you're like most people, there's so many ways, if we slow down and pay attention, that we are very fixed in our mindset about what we're capable of or not, what we're good at or not. We all have an ability, unconsciously, to resign ourselves to, well, that's just the way I am. Or the situation, well, that's just the way it is. Or that's just the way Mission Vista is. And not empowering our own selves to keep growing and keep becoming better versions of ourselves, to be the best at what it is that we do every day. And so I want to challenge you guys today in a couple of ways. One, which it's kind of funny coming to speak to a group of educators, because part of your whole model in education is about not doing what I'm about to do, which is just talk at you for a few minutes, because statistically, you're going to forget 90% of everything that's going to come out of my mouth within 24 hours. So what's the point, then, of talking, of presenting? And at least for myself, it's how do I get you to think and challenge you to leave here with a couple things that are more clear than they were when you came in, so that you can approach this school year with more intentionality to be the best version of yourself, to be a lifelong learner committed to your own growth, so that by extension, you can support the growth of all these great people around you. And by the way, these great people around you, what's fun as an outsider is to observe culture and to watch, like, there's just such a, Eric actually used the word community, a depth of relationship. And I've gotten to know your leadership over the last few years, and like, just as an outsider, what I want to maybe mirror to you that you might take for granted working here is you work for some incredible people. They have incredible hearts, big hearts. You guys, 8,600 students, that's insane. Like, you guys are growing, and there's just something awesome about Mission Vista, and you're lucky that this is what you get to do every day. I don't want to say that again, because I think sometimes we think, well, I have to be here. No, you don't. You don't have to be here. You don't have to be an educator. You chose this. You choose this every day you show up. This is what you get to do with your life, and it's a gift, and it's amazing. So think about this. How many of you, show of hands, got into education to get rich? Okay, a couple delusional folks in the back. How many of you got into education because the job never requires too much, because parents are always a pleasure to work with, because students are just always a gift and joyous, because state testing and compliance is one of your favorite pleasures in life? Anybody? Now, why did you? How many of you, and you would say this differently, but you got into education because of the ability or the opportunity to make an impact in a student's life? How many of you would say something along that line? You've heard the phrase, I'm sure, let me make sure this works, that a picture's worth 1,000 words. Now, all three of these people are important people in my life. You can actually see a slight reflection of me in this image, which you can believe was intentional or that I don't have a scanner. But I'll only tell you about the lady in the middle. She's a short little New Yorker. And I'll give you more context in a second, but here's the story. This picture, that lady in the middle, was Mrs. Mullaney, my 8th grade teacher. And this picture was taken at my wedding. I did not get married in the 8th grade, by the way. I did have a weird religious family, but we weren't that weird. No, it was many years later. Now think about that for a moment. That's my 8th grade teacher. Never knew her until my 8th grade. And here she is at my wedding. Because she changed my life. In so many ways, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Mrs. Mullaney. Mrs. Tripoli. Mr. Mullaney's the guy next to her who's another great teacher in my life. But Mrs. Tripoli, here's a little more context to the story. I grew up in Colorado, like I said, and I came from an interesting dichotomy of both a broken home and an amazing set of parents who tried their best. Always knew I was loved, always knew my parents were proud of me, but my parents could not keep their stuff together. My parents, as just like a small note, got married and divorced 3 times to each other. So let me just, weird, right? My dad struggled on and off with a lot of addictions, but mainly alcoholism. It made him very absent for large portions of my life and my childhood. We lost jobs, we moved a ton. I went to a bunch of different schools, and in middle school, 2 of the worst years of my life. I mean, most people aren't like real fond of their middle school years, but 6th and 7th grade in particular really sucked for me. We lived in a really unsafe neighborhood. I went to a really unsafe school. All the strategies I had developed as an elementary student of achieving and learning and success and competing all went out the window because I hated it and I was just trying to survive and I was flunking and failing. My mom was dealing with breast cancer. My dad was absent. They were horrible years in my life. And at the end of my 7th grade year, struggling and hating it, my mom heard about a charter school opening up, and she put our name in for the lottery, and we got picked. It was a K to 8th grade charter school. So she said, hey, you can only go for 1 year, but do you want to go to a new school? And I was like, dear God, please get me out of here. In walks this gift in my life, Mrs. Tripoli, my 8th grade charter school teacher, who became for me something that, like I said, I wouldn't be here without her. She changed my life because she did 2 very specific things. She loved me, and she challenged me endlessly. I knew, like I've heard this said in, or called in education circles, like being a warm demander. It was very warm, full of love. I knew she liked me and was committed to me and wanted the best for me, and she demanded the best from me. This is a terrible story, but it's true. She was this short little East Coast lady who was very feisty, very smart, and she was a chain smoker, though. And when she would get close to you and talk to you at your desk, she smelled like meatloaf and cigarettes, which I still to this day find endearing. Like when I smell someone smoking, I'm like, Mrs. Tripoli. But she, and Mr. Mullaney was similar in this way. And of course, there were other mentors and coaches in sports and other teachers that made a difference. But there were none quite like Mrs. Tripoli in my life because of her love. And I knew she was not going to ever accept less than my best. The amount of time she pulled me out of class to have a conversation in the hall because she chose not to, this is important, not to relate to me as my 8th grade self. She chose not to treat me as the punk Kevin who showed up, but as my potential. She called it out of me, and she helped me see something that no one else in my family saw, that no one else in my family knew how to articulate, and she helped me, and I would keep going back and visiting her, and she stayed in my life, and she just unfortunately passed away a few years ago. But she's this amazing human because she was so committed to being the best educator that she could be. She was a voracious reader and a lifelong learner, and I know what she did for me. She did for so many other students every day when she came in, despite all the thankless days and maybe the worst days. And my question for you, if we go back to the need for you to be a lifelong learner and why do you do what you do? Because there are future people, many days from now, who will have stories and share about the role you have played as MVA, as educators in their journey and in their life. And their details will be different and their story is different, but it's what's at the heart of why any of this matters. So here's the way, I love the way Helen Keller puts this, and this is really hard because this is behind me, so I feel like I have to keep turning my back to all of you because I don't have this memorized, but you can see it. But Helen Keller says it this way: many persons have the wrong idea of what constitutes real happiness. It is not obtained through self-gratification, but through fidelity to a worthy purpose. What is yours? What is your worthy purpose that gets you up in the morning? What is your worthy purpose that drives you on the worst days that you have? What is it? Because what you'll notice that she says, and you know this to be intuitively true, but we get caught up in the whirlwind and we start thinking that real happiness is going to come from less demands on our life and less responsibilities or a bigger paycheck or longer vacations. And that is not, those are important in different ways, but they are not what bring real fulfillment and happiness in our life, but rather our commitment to a purpose that we see as worthy, something worth sacrificing ourselves, or something beyond us that we are committed to. If you are a parent like I am, this is so easy to see in the life of my kids. I forgot to say, this is like the best way to get to know me is I have 3 sons and they're awesome. They're 21, 19, and almost 17. And I feel like as any parent who can look at their teenagers and young adults and be like, I like you, I'm pretty good. I feel like I've done pretty good. I'm not a perfect parent, but I love them. And I have this insane love for them and pride for them, no matter how dumb they are, and they are dumb sometimes. They do things and say things and act in ways, and I'm like, where did I go wrong? But I love them. And my, like, being a dad to my 3 sons is absolutely one of my worthy purposes in life. And every chance I get to show up or to sacrifice or to think about or to go out of my way to help, I find it so worth it. But that extends beyond that. When all of us, when we get to be that for each other, not just to kids, but to each other, that we can choose to see that every day we show up to work, we can live out our own worthy purpose. This is something so much bigger than Mission Vista's mission statement on a website or a theme for the year around fueling the vision, but is about you leading yourself to be inspired. Anybody here named Karen? Any Karens in the room? You guys know you need more PR for this reason, but I want to redeem Karens to you by the story of a Karen. She works at Wayne State University, right in the heart of Detroit. It's a tough school. Serves some tough kids in the college environment, and they do some great things, and it's a really great school. And Karen works for a team in a department that we were working with. We were talking about this need for purpose, this need to show up. And Karen, it still gives me goosebumps when I tell this story, because it was like her just talking about her worthy purpose, it just elevated the whole room and it challenged all of us. And she talked about why she does what she does every day. And she said I show up every day to throw down for these kids because I want them to come to a place where they feel respected and loved, because they are the future of our world and the leaders in our economy. And I remember just listening to her and watching the affect that has. But what would you guess is Karen's title? What's Karen's title, who shows up every day to throw down for her students, that they would feel dignity and respect in their education environment? She's a custodian. She's a custodian, but it's not about what her title is. It's not about how much she got paid. It's not about how we would maybe think, well, she's just cleaning toilets. To her, what she was doing every day was her worthy purpose. And it was serving a cause much bigger than her, and it made it worth it even on her worst days. So what is it for you? That's the question here. I want you to take a minute and talk to your neighbor about this. I don't remember how I wrote this. That was completely intentional. If you're not paying attention, more balloons will pop, so tune in. But anyway, what keeps you going as an educator on your worst day? Take just 30 seconds and turn to the person and state it. What is it for you? What keeps you going? Go. Turn. All right, I'm going to interrupt you. I know it's annoying. I know it's not long enough, but I'm going to ask you to do this a few times, and I'm going to keep interrupting you. But hey, I want to hear somebody's. What keeps you going on your worst day? Somebody share it. Yell it out for us. Our children. What else? Faith. What? Your coworkers. Absolutely. You're not alone. What else? Perspective. What do you mean? Yeah. We're okay. Yeah. Yeah, and the cool part about being educators, it just comes right back around again. Every time we work with educators, they're like, oh, the beginning of the school year is so busy. And I'm like, it's going to happen again next year. And then the end of school is crazy busy. And then the holidays are, it just turns out it's busy, everyone. But yes, perspective is great. You've been through it. We're not going to die. We can do tough things. Absolutely. And there's a whole plethora of reasons that everybody has that keeps you going. Here's the way we like to think of this, that what keeps us most engaged at work, and in particular, I think when you think of like your worst days, what keeps you going is a way of grabbing at this. What keeps us really showing up and engaged with the work that we do, not just coasting or checking a box or doing the to-dos. It's made up, if you think of it like a formula, of two things: your aspiration times your empowerment. And it's not aspiration plus empowerment. You need both, and there's this like multiplicative piece to this. But someone, what's the difference between an aspiration versus inspiration? What would you say? What's that? Okay. What else? Yeah. Yeah, you did great. I do the same thing. It's more, she said it's more intrinsic. Aspiration's kind of like this internal, I have this aspiration versus, like, part of what I want to do today is inspire you externally, tell you about Mrs. Tripoli, to inspire you towards something. But what matters far more is you being clear about your aspiration. What do you aspire to as an educator? What do you aspire to as an employee? What do you aspire to as a parent or partner or just a human? But aspiration needs empowerment. Think about what happens if you have an aspiration but no empowerment. What's likely to happen in your work environment? Frustration, resignation, go work somewhere else. Yeah. But if you flip that around, if you have empowerment but no aspiration, what is likely to happen? Say it out loud. What? You what? If you're empowered, yes. But what'd you say over here? Someone? It won't last. Nothing will happen, but something will happen. You'll go get it done, but it's probably going to be in the service of you, not in the service of some greater cause. I think of empowerment without aspiration turns into entitlement. We have a client in Minnesota that's a community-based behavioral health group. They provide essential, needed services that quite literally save people's lives, and detox services and therapy, and they take care of a lot of vulnerable populations. They had, they as a leadership team one day were complaining about Gen Z. You guys have heard about these people. You maybe have complained about it too. But they were talking about, well, this next generation's just all entitled. And we were like, no. You're just not doing a good job leading them to be clear about their aspirations, which is your job. It is your fault. It's not theirs. If you're going to lead and employ people, help them be clear about why any of this matters. But they shared this hilarious story by way of complaining, because they're like, we just had someone, this is so funny when you think of this as a therapist providing vulnerable, intimate, life-saving services to people. This therapist came in and wanted special permission to bring her pet foster monkey to work with her. And I was like, I have so many questions right now. I never even heard pet monkey, let alone there's foster care for monkeys. Like, I just had so many questions by the thing. But could you imagine something more off mission for a community-based behavioral health than a monkey screwing around in the office when you're trying to help somebody? That doesn't make any sense. But that's not like what we tend to go, oh, that person's ridiculous. No, that person is actually wanting to live part of their aspiration, which happens to be fostering pet monkeys. It has nothing to do with work. And they needed someone to lead them to say, no, it's either do this work or go do that work, but you can't do both. My point is empowerment without aspiration leads to entitlement. You need both of them. And your aspiration, no one can give you. And you cannot wait for Mission Vista to inspire you or the state of California to inspire you or parents to inspire you. You need to be clear every day, why do you do what you do? What is your inspirational why that drives you? Because if you aren't clear about why it matters, what's the point of growing or trying to be our best? It's too uncomfortable. Just coast. Just show up, just get through, just stay under the radar, just survive. We start avoiding things because I'm going to skip that, sorry. What I would argue is that what's at the heart, and this is something we've been talking with your team about for a long time, and you guys have probably had conversations around this. We believe that what's at the heart of making this work is that if we all get tuned in to our own aspiration, and then we're empowered because every day we show up, we have a job to do. We have been deputized to be educators. You've already been empowered. The interesting thing about being empowered is only you can choose to step into it. You've been invited, you've been hired, you've been paid, you've been trained, you've been supported. But only you can empower yourself at the end of the day to step into that authority and opportunity you have to educate or to lead or to influence or to support or however you talk about it or think about your role in your job. But if you're clear about that and that empowerment, you have to we can't be the best version of ourselves without other people coaching us, supporting us. But when we come in and talk to organizations about how you need coaching, what's your gut reaction to that? It's negative? Why? Yeah. Yeah, it's remedial. Yeah, you need coaching because you don't have this figured out, but the rest of us, we got it. Yeah. Yeah, which is pretty normal, pretty typical. And so a lot of what we try to do is help reframe the idea of coaching. So here's two pretty good examples of two of the single greatest people at their sport and discipline. No argument about LeBron, in my opinion. But anyway, you get the point. We know when it comes to athletics, you need coaches. Michael Jordan needed a coach. Think about Serena Williams for a second. At some point in her career as a tennis player, she was better at tennis than the coaches she had. And yet she needed coaches to be the best, to stay the best. Why is that true? Accountability, why else? Perspective, what? Support? Challenge? You need someone outside of yourself to observe you, to reflect back like, hey, you do this and you have this tendency. I mean, if you watch the Olympics, or even just watching the World Cup, like the best athletes in the world not only have coaches, they didn't get where they're going without a coach. And yet for some reason in the professional arena, we flip this around and it's only for the people who aren't good. It's a completely wrong idea. We can't be our best and we cannot therefore really chase our aspirations if we don't have coaching, if we don't have some people who we give permission to challenge us. Now this is a quote from the wrong team, I get it, just follow along. Dr. Hermsmeyer, if you've never met her, she's a hilarious human. And she was talking about coaching, and I just love this quote when she said it, because I was like, oh, that's dead on. That even the most elite athletes in the world rely on coaches, not because they're weak, but because they're committed to greatness. And I think you need coaching just like I need coaching, not as a sign of your weakness or your incompetency or you're not educated enough or you haven't been doing the job long enough, but because you're a human and life is complex and none of us are our best on our own. None of us are our best without others. And so part of the reframe is realizing, no, we need coaching. I need to invite coaching into my life and I need to be willing to give coaching to other people. If I see someone acting, teaching, leading, doing something that's not the best, am I willing to be a coach to those people or just avoid it because it might be uncomfortable or awkward because I see coaching as evidence of weakness, not as commitment to greatness? Here's one of the ways this can be kind of helpful. If you think about coaching as a timeline and you're in the middle, and so everything behind you is the past version of you and everything in front of you is the future version of you, real coaching lives where? In the future or in the past? The future? Why? I mean, it's the right answer, but I'd like to hear why. Yes. Yeah. Encouraging you, challenging you. It's getting you to think about, because here's the thing about the past. What can you do or change about yesterday? Nothing. Thank you. What can you do or change when people give you feedback, which is past tense, except feel it or experience it as criticism, or just defend yourself or justify why you did it? It just keeps you stuck. And too often we think of coaching as like, hey, can I give you some feedback? Blech. In fact, this is really cool. There's a thing called the SCARF model. If you've never read about it, you could Wikipedia it or Google it. It's really interesting. But the SCARF model studied people's brains, and they were looking at a lot of different things, but part of it was like, how do you give constructive, helpful feedback to people? And they found, and this won't really be a surprise, but it's like you already intuitively know this, but when someone comes up to you and says, can I give you some feedback? No matter how much you love that person or trust that person, the exact same part of your brain fires off. That fires off if you heard footsteps in the dark behind you. Now think about that for a second. It's an unconscious response, completely fear-based. You're about to get mugged. And we go around saying we're coaching, going, hey, can I offer you some feedback? And we're like terrorizing people because so often we're focused on trying to think about, well, you shouldn't have done it that way, instead of realizing what coaching is about the future that you are aspiring towards, the future version of yourself. It's about helping people unlock untapped potential. That's where coaching lives. It's all in the future. Who cares what you did yesterday? Who cares what you did last year? Who are you becoming? Where are you headed? What do you want to accomplish this year? What is your growth edge as a leader and as an educator? That is the most important thing. I think you can walk away from the start of the school year prepared. You need to learn some things. You need conversation. You need a lot of things. But if you just have real clarity about who do you want to be, where do you need to grow, you'll go about figuring out how to do that, how to get there. This is back to the power of the unconscious mind. I think this is really helpful. If you've ever read David Brooks' books, they're really, really good. In fact, he's got an interesting style. Anybody ever read David Brooks, like Two Mountains? Okay, cool. You should. But anyway, he just quotes other people the whole time. So it's really funny. Like he's a great author, just quoting a bunch of other people's wisdoms and thought. And anyway, it's really interesting. But this is a book called The Social Animal, and it digs into the power of the unconscious mind. And there's a lot in here, but the main thing to focus on that I think is helpful is reference to this Timothy D. Wilson from the University of Virginia that says that the human mind can take in, at any given moment, 11 million pieces of information, like an unfathomable number to our brains at any given moment. But the most generous estimate is that people can be consciously aware of 40 of these. So think about that for a second. Think of one, the benefit of this powerful unconscious mind, that right now we're all breathing and we're not having to think about it. We're just breathing. Our heart's beating. We don't have to think about it. We woke up and hopefully brushed our teeth, and we didn't have to relearn how to brush our teeth because it's a habit. Or we drove here and then we were like, how did I even get here? Because the power of our unconscious mind. In fact, any of you that have ever helped your 15-year-old learn to drive, you've experienced this, where you watch their brain move so slowly to do things that you're not even aware of, the unconscious competencies you've built in driving, the pressure on the pedal and where your hands are and where buttons are and changing volume and talking on the phone, all the stuff that you can do because you have a powerful unconscious mind working for you. The downside to it is realizing when it's operating you and you're not choosing it. Because unconsciously, you can have a lot of fear-based responses to the things happening in your world that slow you down, or have you showing up in a way that's not your most intentional, best version of yourself, but rather a reaction to what's happening. And so when you think about that for a second, a different way to think about this is, why is growth so difficult for all of us at the time? Well, it's because we have so much unconsciously happening that we're not aware of. It's a gift, helps us live life, But if it's 11 million things that our brain's constantly taking in, and we can only be aware of, I feel like 40 is too generous, at least for me. That's too many tabs open in the browser, you know. But if the shelf life is only 40 or less, I need to be really picky about what I'm focused on. Otherwise, my unconscious mind is picking it for me. That's not always bad, but it's not always best. It's definitely not always intentional. Or it's how you can catch yourself realizing how fixed we tend to see the world. Right? Like the way I would say this is like when I've tried to get in shape and work out at times, I would say I'm not a runner. Right? Like I've tried to run and I hate it. Now if you're like me, every time you start running, your body's like, no. No, this is stupid. I bought the cool shoes to run. I bought like the cooler outfits to run in. I did a thing one time for 6 months. I ran 1 mile a day minimum, and my thought was like, I'm going to eventually want to run 2. No, never happened. Seriously, not one time did I get past a mile. And there are people like, we have to run far. No, I hate running. And so what I would say is, oh, I'm just not a runner. But that's not true. The truth is, I choose not to be a runner. I could if I wanted to. It's not that I'm not musical. I choose not to put in the energy and the effort it would take to become a musician. That's just the truth. It's not that I'm not a singer. It's that I don't choose to put in the effort and the energy to become a singer. It's about, so much of this is about taking back, not just allowing our unconscious mind to choose for us, but even us not to give our own agency away to the world. And it's like, well, that's just the way MVA is. Well, that's just the way the leaders are. Well, that's just the way education is. And we totally abandon the part that, no, I get to pick this every day. Who do I want to be? And if I want to be good at that thing, then I have to choose to put the work in to do that thing, or realize I'm okay at this point not being a runner. I actually like not running. But it's not that I'm not a runner. There's no part of my DNA that makes me not good at running or not like it. I just don't want to. There's such a difference in those two things. And what all of us tend to think is not only in fixed ways about our own selves, but even like, well, this is just what I have to do. No, this is what you get to do and you choose to do. You guys are all aware you are highly employable, right? MVA doesn't want me reminding you of this. Helen Keller said, we miss this, what brings about true happiness, and all of us on our worst days and when we're not being really intentional and when we're not showing up and when we're overly focused on ourselves and we think it's through our salaries and if I made more and if I blah, 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 blah. But you could go work and make more money at another school any day if you wanted to. Do you know that? Yes? Good. Because the reason you're here is because it's not a traditional public school and it's not another even charter school. There's something about this place that you are here and it's your choice. You are the only person who can empower you to consciously show up in the ways that you want. Oh, I saw this a couple months ago and I posted on LinkedIn, and there were a lot of people that really hated it, but it led to a really good conversation because I thought this was just interesting. That again, what we know, professional athletes need lots of coaching and they perform very infrequently. You guys, you only get together 3 times a year, and if you're not careful, you're like, well, I'll just wait for some training some other day. When every single day you're showing up and you're doing the work and you're performing and you're having to be the educator, you're having to be the leader, you need more times to slow down and consciously choose it. And the critiques were really interesting. I won't go into them, but it was funny. All right, do this for a second. Self-reflection. Are you as open to coaching as you expect your students to be? And are you willing to coach others as you hope they'll coach you? There are 2 sides to this coaching. Are you open to coaching in the same way you want students to be coachable or other people to be coachable? And are you willing to be a coach for those around you? Oh, I'll tell you a story to push this idea a little bit. Any Chargers fans? Great. I know the crowd. 1, 2 people. Great. You're with me. Well, hopefully you like football. If not, just like my son. This is my son. He's now 21. This is after his 8th grade year of football. His team went undefeated. They got invited to this camp. and he got to meet Jim Harbaugh, who at the time was the head coach of the University of Michigan, and we live in Ann Arbor right by it. So to him, like one of the coolest moments of his life as an 8th grade boy. Just a couple months later, he tries out for the high school football team. Now, my son, his name's Micah, by the way. Since he was a kid, he has loved football. He couldn't like watch football, he had to play football. Like anytime I'm just trying to watch a game, he is playing the game. He loves the game. So high school, goes out as a freshman, he makes the JV team, and on the first scrimmage, breaks his ankle. 2 pins, surgery, starts high school in a wheelchair. Horrible, unlucky. Football's awful as a parent, if you don't know. Like I tell him all the time, I'm like, can you just do something different? His freshman year was the start of the pandemic. You guys remember that? And so then they canceled all sports for the coming year. And then they brought him back, and then they canceled him, and then they brought him back again. So during the first time they brought him back, he, as a sophomore, ankle healed, makes the varsity team. Then they cancel the season. Then they bring the season back. And on the very first practice, no, you guys, we got to use the knee cart again, okay? Also, I always tease them, like, I don't know if you have boys, but like we bought them clothes, they just barely wore shirts ever. And you'll notice a theme here, he rarely wears things that fit him. But anyway, so here he is, his sophomore year, mom still made him, it's the start of school, even though there is no school, it's all virtual. Go stand on the porch, start of your sophomore year with the stupid knee cart again. He breaks the same ankle. And it's at this moment that I was like, hey, maybe football's not your thing. Hey, maybe you're too fragile, or maybe you're just really unlucky, or maybe you should look into some other things. But what it did to him as a freshman and as a sophomore, not getting to play it, was solidify what he was aspiring to be and to do with his life. Now, what entered into the pandemic, if you've ever had kids go through recruiting and stuff for college sports, it's nonsense, and none of it makes any sense, and you never know what's happening. And because of the pandemic, there was all kinds of things changing, and he didn't get like highly recruited, but he went on his junior year and his sophomore year to have amazing seasons. This is a picture from the newspaper when the opening kickoff, he ran it back for a touchdown in the finals of the regionals in playoffs. And he just had an amazing senior year. They broke a bunch of records, and it was awesome. And he got invited to take a walk-on, which is, we're not going to pay for school, but you're on the team, at the University of Michigan. And so here's him, his freshman year, at the University of Michigan. Now, you say yay, but if you're into football, you're like, well, they cheated and blah, blah, blah. But you're missing the point because this is my son standing on the field during the national championship warming up in Houston. It was an incredible freshman year. This is him with 4 rings. He now has 7 rings. It's been a wild, awesome ride. But then he decided it's too much work and he's not getting the play time. And so he transferred last year to Western Michigan University and spent his first season as one of the starting safeties. He gets paid, so school's free, and he's getting paid to go. It's crazy. I was telling some of your leadership before that he just signed with an agent. Like, it's so weird. I know, the whole thing's weird, and I still hate him playing, by the way. I would rather he's just on the sideline. That's my favorite way to watch my son at football. But he's a huge human, and he's working really hard. And the reason I tell you the story partly is because I'm a proud dad, and it's just fun. But more importantly, my son could not be where he is if he was not committed and hell-bent, no matter rain or shine or thick or thin or broken ankle, that he is going to play football. And he has battled through so many more injuries since then, and I'm sure there's more ahead, and I'm sure his body's going to hurt him the rest of his life, but he loves what he's doing, and he's committed to it, and he could not be where he is without coaching. Without coaches that challenged him and pushed him and shaped him and helped him achieve and chase what he's trying to chase and achieve. And so I bring that up for a number of reasons, but part of it is just realizing, like, we know for an athlete to be their best, they're going to have to push themselves and suffer some things. But then we think when we're suffering, when we're sacrificing, that we're being taken advantage of. And if you think of it through the lens of an athlete, no, you are getting to do what you love every day and be made better by it and strengthened by it and learn to persevere and gain more perspective, that you can do difficult things and that you get to be an educator every day of your life and you get paid to do it. I mean, that's to me what I think about with my job. I'm like, I can't believe I get paid to do this, to support leaders and hang out with people and talk with people. Like, it's just such a fun job. So I'm going to skip a couple of these. No, we have time. I'll back up. I'm going to tell you about, hang on, I'm doing a bad job of this. This is a traditional public school, so give them grace, okay? But this is a school district that we worked with in Northern Illinois who talks about the power of really becoming coaches to one another. Not just do we coach kids, but am I really open to my own need for growth? Am I open to you supporting me and coaching me? And so this is just a little snippet from him and Heidi, one of their high school principals, about the impact and the way this played out for them. You just have to read his lips. Let's try again.
Ultimately, there's been lots of results, but the ones that are measurable, that are forward-facing to our public, are in 2 years we had, in our ELA scores, 106% increase in ELA outcomes. And in our math scores, we had a 70% increase in math outcomes. So directly attribute that to the work that our staff is doing, but that staff is spurred on by the conversations that our administrative team are having with them. And I would expect that to continue, maybe not at that rapid of a growth, but certainly continue to see growth, because now we have it at the teacher level. And nothing's more powerful for teachers than another teacher leading them toward a goal.
I think for me, like, constantly, so our commitments, like constantly coming back to those commitments, because the commitments we made were related to being our best leaders, our best versions of ourselves as leaders.
I mean, it's as Heidi talked about, we were a team, but the difference was that we have embraced this idea of kind accountability, supportive accountability, being very clear with what our objectives are.
Yeah, and the idea behind these stats for them is that over a course of 2 years of them, what they would say is, we hired really smart, qualified people. We had good research-based curriculum and systems, and yet we were not achieving the outcomes that we're all trying to every day, year after year. And over the course of 2 years, in changing this, he talked about it, it was like the last 5% that was missing, but it was a 10x in what happened. Because we stopped seeing accountability as shame on you and you did it wrong, but rather, what are you committed to and how do we support you in doing that? Where accountability wasn't this punitive thing, and that coaching being offered wasn't because you're on a performance improvement plan or you're a weak link, but rather, how do we help you be the best version of you and make it normal for us to challenge each other and coach each other? And to them, they attribute all of this success to simply learning to relate as coaches to one another. Made all the difference in the world. We weren't just friends at work, we were friends who challenged and sharpened each other. We weren't just like, hey, I know your name and I know about your kids, and we're friends and like relationship, but we were relationships that were on this foundation of a commitment we each have. This is what Heidi was talking about. We made commitments to our own personal growth. We got very clear and committed to who do I need to be the best version of myself this school year? Where do I need to grow as a leader or as an educator? And so that, I think, is the question for you. To think about, where do you need to grow the most? And what is it in you, or really in all of us, that make us resist coaching? And there's a lot of things that we could talk about, but the simplest way of understanding is it's fear. It's an unconscious response to a perceived threat. And the interesting thing about fear is that sometimes it's real. I almost got hit by a car. I was afraid. That's real. Hey, someone didn't copy me on an email and I feel left out, and I have a fear-based response that they're like trying to leave me out. But that's made up. That's just in my head. I don't know if that's actually what they're doing. But I have the exact same response to almost getting hit as I do to being left off an email if I don't learn to pay attention to it and notice, oh, that's just a fear-based response. What do I actually know? And so fear, maybe a different way of saying this, is that I think the thing that gets in the way of us coaching people and being more coachable is that we are afraid in our ego of not having it all together, or being seen as not having it all together. And the more we normalize, when you think about kind of like education is built on this idea that kids don't have it all together and we can support them in learning and growing to figure out the next thing. We create a productive struggle for kids to grow and to learn. And then at some point, we think we've graduated from that. And we've stopped being clear about our own productive struggle that we need to be stretched. Where do we need to grow? And so the reason I put Netflix and Blockbuster here is they illustrate really well in a bigger business sense the mindset that gets in all of our way. So in the year 2000, Netflix was just an online business that was mailing DVDs to people. All right, so this was before there was even a streaming service. The two co-founders of Netflix, they flew to Dallas, Texas, met with the then CEO and executives of Blockbuster. Now, Blockbuster, some of you might not be old enough for this, and I don't like you, but the rest of us get it. like to realize that this is a little irrelevant, that hurts my soul. But just in case you didn't know, Blockbuster used to be how we all watched stuff. And you would go look at all the new releases, and you would argue about what you'd actually watch, and then you'd pay late fees, and it was nonsense. But the thing is that when it came to their industry, Blockbuster owned the industry. They were the powerhouse. They had franchises and stores everywhere. And Netflix, in 2000, flew to Dallas and sat with their executives and said, we would like to sell you Netflix for $50 million and run your online business. And Blockbuster did, and it's hard because in hindsight, it was like, well, obviously. It wasn't obvious then, but Blockbuster made the same mistake many other organizations have and many leaders do. That we already have this figured out. We know what we're doing. And within 10 years, Blockbuster, they literally laughed these CEOs out of the office, the founders of Netflix, and were like, that's so dumb, and we know what we're doing. Laughed them out. Today, Netflix is worth over $150 billion. The heck of a deal that they were giving Blockbuster at the time. And Blockbuster, literally 10 years later from this moment, filed bankruptcy and closed its doors. Now, the reason I say it is because I think it's one way of illustrating this very simple truth about all of us. At some point in our careers, we've done enough, experienced enough, educated enough, that we're experts. And we stop thinking new thoughts. We stop being open to other perspectives. We start thinking very fixed. Well, this is the way it is. This is the only way it is. This is how it works. There's not another way. At some point, your expertise, if you're young, if you're new, if this is your first year in teaching and education, you're in the right seat. You know you don't know what you're doing. That's the perfect place to be. The rest of you, you run the risk this year of having a liability in thinking you know what you're doing and not thinking new thoughts, being open to new ways. It's almost like how you would describe education in general, is being open to the possibilities of different ways of doing things and trying things, and yet at some point we all get fixed and stuck, and we stop asking, and we stop being open. So, my question for you is back to what I was saying before, is what's your productive struggle this year? Where do you need to improve? Where do you want to get better? Where do the students need, who do your students need you to be this year? Who does the team that work for you, who do they need you to be? Who do the families who you're working with in the education of their kids need you to be for them? Doesn't matter what you were last year or how it went or went well or didn't go. What matters is who you're going to be this year. Who do they need you to be? And what is your growth edge? What's the thing that you need to do to be better? What do you need to be committed to working on? And so I want to ask you to just take a couple seconds and really think about that. And now turn to the person you were talking to earlier, and what would you answer? Where do you need to grow this year to be a better version of yourself? And it doesn't have to be just work. It could be a personal thing, but it'll apply here because you're a human everywhere you go. So turn to the person next to you and answer this question. What is your productive struggle this year? All right, I'm going to interrupt again. I know it's annoying. I know it's not enough time. I apologize. Sorry to interrupt. But we are going to take a break, so the sooner you stop talking, we'll take a break. I don't know what that means, but peace means quiet. Got it. So, hey, I know that wasn't enough time, but the hope here is to encourage you to get really clear about this. And maybe the very next best step for every one of you is to have a conversation with the person that you report to, whoever your boss is, or whatever language you guys use for that, to talk to them about, here's what I think was my goal this year. Because this theme of fuel the vision is realizing you are the fuel to the vision of MVA. You are Mission Vista. It's not something out there, it's you. And it's your relationship with each other, and it's how you relate to each other. And more specifically, the fuel to the vision is your aspiration, the impact and the difference that you want to make. And if you're committed to that, then I think it leads to these last couple things I wanted to throw at you, which is, how will you stay open to coaching this year? It's very nice to be like, hey, everyone knows they can coach me, but rather to ask, hey, could you give me some perspective on this? Hey, I'm stuck here. Hey, I'm not sure what to do. Hey, this is what I'm thinking, but I'm not sure if it's right. What do you think? How will you turn this need for coaching that we all have into something that could be a habit? Like maybe every Monday I put a thing on my calendar that reminds me to ask for coaching for something this week, so I stay conscious to it. And then the second thing is, how will I offer coaching when I notice others need it? How will I not passively participate in letting other people fail or struggle or be less effective than they could be if we were a team? When Dr. Mahoney, who's the video I played, we talked about like we're on a team, but that's not the same as being a team. You are on the team, MBA. Questions I'm pointing you towards is, will you be a team? Challenge and support each other. Not just support. I think support's probably the easier part. It's, hey, what do you need and how can we help? But to also go, I think you're doing that wrong. Or, hey, do you realize sometimes when you say that thing, it comes across in this way and it gets in the way? Like, will you be for each other a support that helps one another grow? Or to say it differently is, how will you be Mrs. Tripoli for each other this year? How will you be Mrs. Tripoli for your students this year? Because like all of you would say, if on the best and the worst days you could look back on your career and know for at least one kid you made a difference and an impact, it would all be worth it. So how do you head into this new school year with that in mind? And so I don't actually know how to end right now. What am I doing, Sarah? Say what? I can wrap up. That's what I was trying to do, but I was like, am I handing this back to you? I don't know what's happening. The other two people someone asked real quick is just, that's Jan on the left, who's a longtime family friend and grew up with her kids. And then Mr. Mulaney was my other 8th grade teacher. He was the science and math guy. She was the rest. And they were, again, just huge gifts. And that charter school, I grew up in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and I grew up, the charter school when it opened was called Cheyenne Mountain Charter Academy, and it's still there today, and it's thriving and much bigger, and it's called the Vanguard, which seems a little pretentious, but anyway, they're doing really well, and these two in so many ways were the foundation of that for a long time. So, but with that, I just want to remind you that what you get to do every day is such a gift, and it's really fun for me to get the chance to come and support and encourage and just say thank you for the difference that you make as educators, because I would not be here without you. So thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. I think I've said this before, but you guys are a tough group to find keynote speakers for. And I literally told Kevin when I met with him, I said, they know right away if you don't get our model. And I laughed a little bit when he was like, be nice to them. They're a brick and mortar school, but be nice. But thank you, Kevin, for just reminding us that we all are a part of this team and we are the ones that are moving this vision forward. And just a little insight, Kevin really has worked closely with our leadership and we are actively doing what he has taught us and coaching each other and holding each other accountable and asking each other, how can we do this better, or give me feedback and give me coaching. And that is actively happening in our leadership. And so I know the team principals are also talking to you guys about coaching. And we've been talking about transformational leadership, and we'll bring up some of the topics in our meetings. I'm trying to remember some of them off the top of my head. Fear and love, that's coming from Kevin and his team, and we've just learned a lot. So when you hear that kind of stuff, it's Kevin and his team that's been working with us. Okay, I'm not going to give you a real break because you're a really hard group to get back in here. So we're going to take a stand-up, sit-down break. Obviously, you guys can leave. No, not everyone leave. That's not what I meant. We're going to play a little game in your seat. So, okay, we're going to play this or that. So you're going to stand if it's your option, or stay in your seat if it's your option. Okay, are you ready? Stand up if you like coffee, and stay in your seat if you like tea. That's a lot of coffee drinkers. Okay, everyone back down. I have a really hard one with this one. Okay, I'm forced into both of them. Stand up if you're an early bird, stay in your seat if you're a night owl. Oh, we have more night owls in this group, I think. Okay. Okay, sit down. Okay, stand up if you prefer texting, sit down if you prefer calling. Nice. Okay, sit down. Stand up if you like books, stay in your seat if you like movies. Oh, you stood up so fast. Where's Amy? Oh, where's that book club? I'm like looking for all the people in that book club. Okay, sit down. Stand up if you like road trips. Stay in your seat if you like a plane ride. I did an over 20-hour ride with my family this summer, so. Okay, 2 more. Stand up if you like camping. Stay in your seat if you like glamping. There's not a lot of campers out here. Wow. We got a glamping group. Okay, and this is where we're going to find out all the animal lovers, and I feel like it's going to be a lot of people. Stacy Beasley will definitely be standing. Okay, if you could have a stand up if you would love to be able to talk to animals. Sit down if you would like to speak every language. Not that many people standing up to talk to all the animals. Okay. Okay. We're going to keep moving on. So we have summer coming up. Thank you for that little stretch break.
Okay, thank you. Sarah's going to click for me. Hello, everybody. It's so good to see you. The gang's back together, ready for a new school year. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our theme this year, which Sarah chose for us. She worked so hard to really kind of take in the things that we're learning and just kind of create a vision for us to follow throughout the year. So Fuel the Vision is our theme for this year. And if you want to go on to the next slide, that'd be great. Okay, first, what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you take out your seatbelt, buckle it up. We are getting into a time machine, and we're going back to April 30th at our all-staff meeting. And you remember this conversation that Zena and I had with everybody about loose versus tight. And we were talking primarily about our homeschool heart, and we were kind of evaluating where we are as a school. And this was a big moment for us, I feel like, because as you know, as a charter school, the pressure for compliance is very heavy on us. And I think Amy and Erica do such a good job of shouldering a lot of that burden for us and helping us to navigate it. But the rest of us, it filters down to us too. And so we really have to take stock as a school and a staff and try to decide, like, looking at our vision, looking at the vision for Mission Vista and trying to understand how we get there. What are the tangible ways that we get there? And so back in April, we talked about too loose, right? We're not using unschooling, right? Right? Right. Okay, thank you. So the non-schooling students, the non-schooling families, when we're too loose, it leaves students hanging, right? We have students who don't get the support that they need because we're not holding them accountable or we're not challenging them and it's too loose. That's not where we want to be. And then on the other side, of course, we have too tight, very compliance-minded. It's too rigid, and that's where we find that we really lose that homeschool heart. And we lose some of those families that we really, really love, the students that we really want to serve. That rigidity causes us to lose the flexibility that we really want to lead with. And to be honest, we lose the joy, right? I know a lot of us, as Kevin was saying, we're here for a reason. We're here because we're really passionate about this model. We're passionate about what we can do for kids with this model. And so that brings a lot of joy for us as well. And when we fall too far on this too tight end, we lose some of that joy. We want the sweet spot. We want that spot that's in the middle. That's where MVA wants to be, our homeschool heart right there in the middle, where we can have freedom and support and really work together to help kids thrive. And I would say, too, that neither of these two extremes reflect who we are as a school. And so during that meeting, I know we asked you to write on a piece of paper, where do you think we are? And we wanted you to kind of like really reflect on that, really use that to drive our actions for this coming school year, to really help us to get where we're going, our mission and our vision. So during that activity, we recognized that there is a tension that exists between the too loose and the too tight, between not actually schooling and that very rigid school at home model. We recognize that tension. We sit in that tension, right, every day. We also acknowledged in this competitive charter school environment that we're in now, that how we navigate that tension will determine our school's future, and it will determine the success of our students. Next slide. That brings us to the balance that we hold. Our families have so many choices, right? Mission Vista has been around a long time, and we've really seen the tides turn, the pendulum swing, whatever metaphor you want to use. We have seen the schools come and go. We are so blessed and so lucky to be here at MVA and have wonderful leadership in Erica and Amy who have helped us to navigate all of that chaos. But we also know that families have choices. They have a lot of choices when it comes to schooling. We love California, right? God bless it that we have all these choices. So families have choices. And I'm here to tell you that families do not choose Mission Vista because we are the strictest school, okay? They're not like, yes, I really want to turn in work samples every month. It's going to be so great. I know, let's go to that school. They have the most work samples. That's not why they're here. But they're also not here because we ask the least of them, because we don't, right? There are schools that ask less, and we know this. If you're on Facebook, you know this. Every week, it's like another screenshot of, who said what? So there are schools that ask more, there are schools that ask less, and neither one of those things are what bring our families here, and neither one of those things are what keep our families here. Our families choose Mission Vista because of who we are. They choose Mission Vista, frankly, because of you. That's what's on Facebook. My teacher this, my teacher that. I love my HST. I really hate this policy, but I love my HST, so I'm gonna do it. Do you guys hear that all the time? We hear it all the time. So we know it's because of you. Our families choose this school because of who we are as a school. And these are the questions that guide us. So we kind of went over some of these last year at that, when Zine and I were talking to you about loose versus tight, but these are some of the questions that we're asking ourselves every day. What are tangible ways that we can marry the homeschool heart with our Mission Vista mission and vision? What do our relationships look like when we honor both? And we're not just talking about relationships with families. We're talking about relationships with each other, with staff, with your supervisors, with your team principals, with senior directors. We're looking at student work. What should student work look like when we're marrying that homeschool heart and our mission? When we're looking at our mission and we're looking at our slows and we're looking at compliance and we're like finding that homeschool heart in the middle of it, when we're in the middle of the loose versus tight, what does student work look like? What should LP meetings feel like? What should they feel like for kids? We spend a lot of times talking about what LP meetings should look like, right? We want them to be student-centered. We want to make sure that we see work. We want to make sure that we're like evaluating students or assessing during that meeting. But what should it feel like to the family? You guys are about to hear some really good stuff. A little foreshadowing there about what an LP meeting feels like when we're marrying the homeschool heart with our vision. What supports do teachers need to balance compliance and flexibility? Those packets that, is it Brianne that did them? Who did the packets? Thank you so much, Brianne. Wonderful job, amazing. I'm sure you've looked at them. They're so great. You guys are gonna get such good use out of those this year, but that's where that comes from, is like, what do the teachers need? What do you need? What kind of support do you need to be able to marry those two things? And how does this shape our culture? How do we work with each other? How do we bring in coaching? How do we bring in collaboration to be able to work with each other to make this happen and make this a reality for us and for our kids? Next slide, please. Okay, so yesterday, we continued the conversation. How many of you know who Julie Bogart is before yesterday? A good amount of you. She was my homeschooling guru. Many of you know I homeschooled my kids from kindergarten to 12th grade, and in the very early years, I worshiped at the feet of Julie Bogart. I read all her books, I went to all her seminars, I would go be front row at her conferences. I loved Julie. And a lot of the strategies that she talks about are strategies that we employed in our homeschool. And my kids still talk about them today. My kids are now 21 and 26, and they really enjoyed some of the things that we did. So yesterday, we continued that conversation with Julie, and Julie reminded us because we already knew this, but reminded us that homeschooling begins with relationships. It really does. And she challenged us in her talk to not only see parents as our clients, because we talk all the time about Nordstrom customer service, and we're making sure to really serve our families and serve our parents, but she's really challenging us to partner, to become the partner with the parent. The parent is the teacher. The parent is the one providing that direct instruction in that classroom every day. We're not there, right? And so we really want to create a strong partnership with that parent, almost as if they are our student as well, right? So in your teams, you identified a few things. You identified places where that message resonated, and then places where it stretched our thinking, right? Because not everything that she says fits in our model. So we kind of have to, just like anything, you take with a grain of salt and you say, this really can work for us. This, maybe it doesn't work. Here's another concept, maybe it's stretching our thinking a little bit. We could get there if we tried. And then places where it really created tension with our current systems. So how many of you are avid teachers? Do you have some avid teachers? Probably more on this side of the room, right? Raise your hand if you're an avid teacher. Come on, I've seen your resumes. I know there's some in this audience. Yes, in the past. Yeah, great. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. I'm asking for a high five summary, okay? The avid teachers in the room are gonna know that we're doing this a little bit wrong, and you're not gonna tell anyone, okay? It's okay, it's fine. We do things how we want. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna do a high five summary. You're gonna get up, not yet, you're gonna get up, you're gonna find a person who's not on your team, so you might have to walk a little bit, and you're gonna give them a high five summary. This is what you're gonna do. You're gonna tell them one thing that resonated with you that Julie said yesterday. You're going to also tell them, number 2, something that stressed you out yesterday that Julie said, because I know some of you got stressed. And then number 3, a commitment that you are making this year based on the information that she shared, okay? Number 1, resonation. Number 2, something that stressed you. Number 3, a commitment. When you are finished, you will high five each other and you'll go back to your seat, and we're gonna do this very quickly so we don't stress Sarah out, okay? On your mark, get set, go. Don't forget to give your high five as you're wrapping up. We have 1 more minute, so please wrap up. Okay, we're going to go ahead and wrap up our conversations. I'm going to count backwards from 10, and when I get to 1, everyone will be in their seats, high-fived and all done. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Look at that awesome group of teachers. Thank you so much for sharing those things. And now you have an accountability partner. So I hope that you will check in on those commitments, especially when we revisit in January and see how those things are going. Next slide, please. Okay, we're fueling the vision this year. We're going to remember where we started. We started with igniting the spark last year and talking about finding that balance between loose and tight. We've been exploring those concepts all year. And then, of course, comes in training. Kevin was talking a lot about this, about coaching. The leadership team, the senior director team, and the team principal team have been working really hard the last couple years in the realm of coaching and really being open to receiving coaching and giving it to each other as a form of personal development. So this is how we fuel up. I know he talked about the idea that as a teacher, we can't expect kids to be a lifelong learner if we are also not lifelong learners. That's so silly, right? You don't pour out of an empty cup. You can only pour out of a full cup. And so this is how we fuel up. Our professional development is how we fill our cup to be able to give back to our students and be able to partner with those parents and be able to guide and coach them and be alongside them. We're not dragging. Dragging is when we're just spitting information, right? But when we're sharing resources and coaching those parents and coming alongside of them, we have to be filled up in order to do that. Engage in opportunities for growth and learning on your own personal development. Don't wait for someone to tell you what you need. Kevin already set us up, right? He asked us those questions. What do we need? What areas do we need to grow in this year? I was sitting back there writing those things down, sharing them with my partner, and you were too. So now you already know you have the direction of where you need to go. Golden Hour is a great opportunity. The school, of course, we're always doing, we're so PD heavy, right? But it's because we are growth minded. So be fueling up, be engaging in those opportunities for growth and learning. And then the other thing is relationships. We're really, really, really focused on investing in relationships, partnering with parents and students, and collaborating with each other. One team, one purpose, one vision. That's our goal this year. We're fueling that vision. Our vision, our mission and our vision is the destination. That's where we're going. The road is windy. We take some wrong turns sometimes, but we're always willing to get back on that track. What we do every day, that's the fuel. So as we're learning, and growing together, doing professional development, those actions that we take every day, that's our fuel to be able to get to our destination. And of course, together we move forward. Now, there are teachers here who are already doing amazing things in this area. They are investing in relationships, partnering with those parents, leading those students, collaborating with each other. We asked the team principals, show us those teachers on your teams who are doing a fantastic job at this stuff. And the list was long, very, very long. So we had to pick a few, but we've had, I know Sarah and Audrey and a whole team of people, Sarah will talk about this a little bit later, working on some projects to be able to showcase some of the awesome things that are going on in our school. And so now I'm really honored and excited to show you some of these teachers who are building good relationships with families, and they're here to coach us and share some of those strategies.
Hi, my name is Michelle McCall, and I have just finished my first year with Mission Vista. Hi, my name is Caitlin Juarez, and this will be my 5th year with MVA.
My name is Tiffany Brown, and I have been with Mission Vista. I'm going into my 9th year.
Hi, my name is Stacy Beasley, and I've been with Mission Vista for 11 years.
My name is Celia Bonilla, and I have been with Mission Vista Academy for 1 academic school year.
So I think one of the most important things that I do is just building a connection with the families. So with the parents and also with the students. So I get to know what their interests and their hobbies are. And I really just build this relationship where they know that I'm on their side, that I'm over here when I'm working, I'm supporting them, I'm looking up resources for them, I'm, recommending curriculum. And I think it's just like being very friendly, and being very kind. I really want my families to walk away being like, oh, I really like her. That is like the ultimate goal. Is like they get off the phone with me and they're like, I like her.
One thing that I intentionally do to build strong relationships with my families is listening. I prioritize listening. Taking the time to understand each family's goals, challenges, and strengths really helps me to build trust and provide the support that is necessary to provide a personalized learning experience for their students.
One thing I intentionally do to build strong relationships with my families is focus on getting to know them beyond the academics. I take time to learn about their interests, their passions, and their goals, and then I make a point to check in with them regularly throughout the year. These conversations that we have help the families feel seen, valued, and supported, and I feel like I know my families better.
I want my families to see my heart and know that I am on this homeschool journey with them. You know when you're at coffee with a friend and you leave that friend and you wish you had 10 minutes more with that friend? That's how I want my families to feel when they leave me after a meeting. How I do this connection with my families is I do not also want to be just the face they see at the LP meeting. So I encourage my families during the LP to send me videos and pictures of their learning. I say I want to see it all. All means scary and all means a lot of work, but not for Mrs. Beasley. So what I say is I say, you know when you send things to your grandma and you think, I want my grandma to see this. That's how I say it to my families and to my students. If they are doing something that is outside the box and super cool and they are learning and they are having fun, I want to see it.
I think with new families, I spend more time providing guidance and reassurance. I am there to answer a lot of questions, but also to ask a lot of questions so I can get to know my family a little bit more, again, building those relationships. And with my returning families, I'm doing similar things. I am providing them that support, that reassurance, that guidance, but I also try to reflect on the previous year. I want to celebrate those wins and find areas where there's room for growth and set SMART goals with my students to prepare them for the new school year.
And then when it comes to meeting a brand new family, I think the biggest thing for most of them is they're coming in with a deer in the headlights type of situation, which I know firsthand from my experience starting this last year. I felt very much like a deer in the headlights. So I think just recognizing that and approaching it with empathy and just really making sure that they understand that I would love for them to ask me questions. I really, really want to help them, and they're not a bother to me, and I'm here for them, and it really is a partnership, and making sure that they know that from the beginning will help us in the long run.
And probably about maybe 2 or 3 years in, I started to do a presentation, like a get to know me presentation or get to know the school. And so that was probably about like 30 to 35 minutes. It was virtual. And I would go through all the things, all the resources that the school offers. And then at the very end, I would go through compliance. And I would say I have like 3 or 4 slides on compliance, and I would go through all of the different areas: testing, body of work, answering back, like all those things. I had to go through all that. And I would say like, this is an example of what non-compliance looks like, and this is what an example of compliance looks like. And I found that that was really helpful for new families, because then I could refer back to that if something was going on, or if they found themselves in non-compliance, because it was like I already had that conversation with them and I already had set those expectations, and they knew exactly what it was that I needed and exactly like, what would land them in non-compliance.
This past school year, I worked with a parent who felt very overwhelmed by planning and keeping their student on track throughout the school year. Together, we worked together, very closely together, to create a realistic pacing plan using curriculum that they were already comfortable with. But I also did provide supplemental resources to support areas where the student needed additional practice, or maybe we wanted to make sure that we were meeting the standards specifically and the student was prepared for that next school year. So there was a lot of back and forth together of supporting each other. So they would give me what I needed to support them successfully. And I believe that with that clear plan and that continuous support and collaboration, the parents started to feel more confident, and the student was able to make steady progress throughout the school year. I believe, like for me, seeing the family's confidence grow and that student meet their academic goals was truly amazing, and it was a huge win for all of us. It was super incredible.
If I have a struggling or overwhelmed parent, it is probably because they feel like there is too much on their plate and it is not organized. Well, that is when I get to jump into their life and say, how can I be a help? I want to be there to organize. I want to see what I can take off their plate, or maybe a new strategy that I can do. So what do we do if a friend comes to us and they're struggling and overwhelmed? First, we're going to listen, and together we're going to make a plan. Sometimes an outside perspective, support, or just a new resource might be helpful.
So I think for me, I feel like the art extravaganza that we did and just like kind of being more student focused this year has really ignited the homeschool heart like within me too, because it's like I've been teaching for 11 years, and I've been at Mission Miss for 9. So it's like sometimes you kind of do forget your why. You're going through sort of the tasks that you have to do, the administrative stuff that you have to do. And that really kind of like awakened that for me. I was like, oh, that's right. I love being with the kids, and so I think by my own sort of homeschool heart being ignited, I can bring that to my meetings with my families. And I got some birthday cards off of Amazon for $16 and some stamps. I love stamps. And mail, just mailing things out. It's just so much fun. And I remember as a kid loving to get mail, as a kid. And so I'm just gonna send out birthday cards because I want my students to feel like they're seen, that I'm so glad that you were born on this day. And I also would like you to read. So I'm gonna put a bookmark in there too. And yeah. So just, I wanna have little touches of that throughout the year as I connect with my students and I connect with my families.
To infuse the homeschool heart into my first meeting with families this year, I plan to begin by focusing on their unique goals and vision for their homeschool journey. As part of our conversation, I am going to invite parents to participate in a family vision activity, something new this year, by reflecting on prompts such as, this year we hope to learn, this year we hope to explore, this year we hope to improve, and this year we hope to experience. I think that this is going to be a great way to help me and the families build strong relationships and to foster a sense of partnership throughout their homeschool journey.
I think the important thing to recognize when it comes to having that homeschool heart with our families is really understanding what the parents' philosophy is and understanding why they chose to come to our school. There's a lot of different reasons why parents choose to follow this path. And I think really getting to the root of why families are here with us helps us to understand their motivations, understand their learning styles, understand the investment that parents are making, and really helps us kind of go alongside them on their journey. And it builds that collaboration and fosters that relationship with the families so that they know that you really care about them and their interests and their goals, and that you're not just there to check off boxes or quiz the kiddos, that you really want their goals to come to fruition, and you really want to make sure that you help foster that partnership in getting them to their end goal.
Yeah. Loud. Hi, everyone. My name is Jill Colby, and this is my 6th year here at Mission Visit. I'm already really loud, so I'm sorry, you guys. This is my 6th year, and I'm super excited to jump into this role as the new curriculum coordinator for our TK 8th grade students. The heart of this position for me and the heart of my personality as an educator is to support all of you. I know how important that is. I know what it's like to be a teacher feeling overwhelmed, having a roster of 46, 49, whatever you guys have right now, that can feel very a lot. And you're thinking about curriculum all the time. You're thinking about how you're going to supplement, how you're going to make it fit your families. I used to dream about students, and I'd wake up in the middle of the night and be like, oh, that's a great idea. Let me write it down right now. So my goal this year is to help you. And in turn, I hope we'll have a beautiful trickle effect, and it will empower your families and then inspire your students for learning and growth. So right now at the back end, we have our curriculum website that I've been working on. It's still in the test. We're still working out some things. But if you want to go ahead and click on that for me, that link. Is it not working? Well, the curriculum site has the first 5 top curriculums that all of you recommended at the very end of last year so quickly and so beautifully. This was the heart of how I made this website, was all of you and all your recommendations. And I really want to shout out to you guys because it was a lot, and all of you wrote really kind comments in like the little additional section that warmed my heart and just reminded me of all the really amazing people that we have here in the community. So thank you seriously from the bottom of my heart. It meant a lot to me. So our curriculum website, this is the homepage. There's going to be 4 tabs for all 4 subjects. We're going to have there's a supplemental tab, and then there's a training tab. Can you go ahead and click on the English one for me, please? And just scroll down a little bit. So these are the top 5 that you guys recommended. And each one is going to have a little synopsis about it, some strengths about it, some weaknesses, what type of learner it appeals to. Is it learning coach heavy? Is it lighter? Is it more independent? Can you click on this all about reading down arrow for me? Not that one, sorry. But it will link that too. It'll link it. To the right. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so it's going to give you a little synopsis about the curriculum, who it's best suited for, the types of supports it has, little notes. The top 5 has all that right now, ready to go for all 4 subjects. And then scroll down a little bit further, please. A little bit more. And then down below, I listed some other ones that you guys recommended, but necessarily weren't the top 5 for that particular subject. They don't have the synopsis and things just yet, but we're working on that. That's going to be in there. And then as we get more ideas and more curriculums, I'll put that up there for you guys too. And then you can just go back to the slides. So that's the curriculum website right now. It's in works. It's going to be better. The whole point of it is to be simple. We don't want it to be overwhelming. When we give a family a document, click here to click here to click here to click here. That's not beneficial. This is going to be clean, simple, eye-catching, helpful for families. The next thing that we're working on, again, another layer of support, is we're building an adjunct team. There's going to be 8 of them, and I was told they don't have to be on every single team, so we can kind of whoever wants it. So come join me. It's going to be fun. I love hearing all your ideas, and we're going to build some training resources. We're going to build some pacing guides. We're going to build a lot of really awesome tools for our teachers. And also offer some curriculum coaching, and I've already started doing this, student-specific recommendations. So I'm thinking that we're going to need a better place to house that, so that way it gets answered a little more quickly as people start trickling in with specific questions. But as of right now, people have called and texted and emailed, and it's worked pretty well, but I think a better system will be good, so that's coming. Okay, and then the last one, this is my favorite. This is looking ahead to the future. Again, we're going to be doing curriculum maps, pacings for those specific top 5 that you guys wanted, that you like. And then once we get through those ones, then we're going to go ahead and dive into some additional. It's going to take time. It's not going to be super fast, but hopefully with my adjuncts, that will help too. And this next one I'm super excited about. We have a tool in the works right now where you guys are going to be able to input curriculum with the standards, and it's going to pop something beautiful out that tells you what standards are being met and in what chapter, and does this curriculum have anything missing, and how are we going to supplement that. So super excited. And then last one, I'm creating a homeschool-friendly Schoology course right now for the lower grades. Particularly, we're starting with 8th grade, middle school. This is going to be, I don't want to say it's going to mirror a high school outline. It's much different, but in the aspects of homeschool-friendly, giving them the freedom and flexibility to choose how they want to learn. So maybe they don't want a textbook, maybe they don't want a pen and paper. They can go to Riley's Farm and watch the reenactment of the Civil War. They can just hands-on. So out of the box, but you are going to be able to check the box with this. So super helpful. And I'm going to have a video for that soon. It's almost ready, probably by like Thursday, ready to go. And again, you guys, I really do want to be a support. I want to be here to help you. I know what it feels like to be overwhelmed or not know what to recommend. You're never a bother. I'm excited about this. And without sounding super duper cheesy, like, the metaphorical door is always open, like, step in. And I really want to meet all of you and get to know you, so I'm excited.